This is Indy Kalu from In the Trenches on Sports Talk 790. When I talk sports, I bring the pain with the BTP guys.
Hey folks, and welcome back. Here at BTP Sports, we appreciate you guys and your fanship. Now, if you're not following us on social media, make sure you do so. We're on Facebook at BTP Sports Talk. We're on Twitter at BTP Sports. We are on the Instagram at BTP_sports. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so. It is Bring the Pain Sports. Here at BTP Sports, we realize there's no us without you. And also, we're on the radio as well, KYND Radio. 1520 AM. So listen to us live. They're on right now, 1 to 3, or download the app and listen to us. Thank you guys for your support. And CougsNation.com is where we give you our exclusive reports of U of H football. So we're back with Mr. Kelly, Jolivet, Mr. Jones, and we have another special guest, another guy who's been in the game for a while, Mr. Jerry Lee Woodley Jr. of the College Sports Report. Jerry, thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you.
This is another guy that when I first got in the game, see him at all the events, and he always there and always willing to help us out. So what we're talking about now is we got the SEC out of the way. So now we're going to talk something that's near and dear to most of us, especially my cameraman, Mr. Fletcher, U of H football. Of course, you guys know, y'all know I'm a Wolverine, but I consider myself a step Coug because U of H, we always give them their credit. U of H was the very first entity to give us full season creds. And we'll forever be grateful to the guys, Dave and the guys at U of H for that, which is where we met these guys. So, of course, U of H is the defending champion. They defeated Temple in the AAC championship last game. So, since you're new to the segment, Jerry, we'll start off with you. Talk to me about the AAC conference and what you see this year.
Basically, I see the same thing. U of H will compete. They'll most likely win the West. Their only competition will be the same teams. Basically, Navy will push them just because of military discipline. And on the east side, it's a crapshoot. Temple it has moved up in the rankings as far as the conference concerned. But what they need to do more than anything else is get some consistency. And Temple was basically the dregs of the AAC until they made a coaching change, and now the school has made some efforts on facilities, which we all know that's a recruiter's dream.
Absolutely.
And in the process of getting that done, they were able to fulfill some dreams as far as competing for a conference championship, which Coach talked about a lot, and then getting to a bowl game.
Okay.
Now everything's all kind of like in a jumble because the AAC, just like we'll talk about later on, Conference USA, those are two major non-Power 5 conferences that are getting rated.
Right.
Everybody else is pretty much relevant or irrelevant as to making a move up to a Power 5 and expansion-wise.
Right. And, Conference USA is, of course, where Rich's favorite team, the Rice Owls, play. Him being a Coug, it's just like they give me crap about that school in Ohio, so I got to give it back to him. Now, U of H had one loss last year.
Correct.
Okay, they lost to UConn, which was a real fluke. U of H really should have been undefeated last year. Of course, they go to the Peach Bowl. Or Chick-fil-A. I'm old school. I still call it the Peach Bowl.
It's still
Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
Peach Bowl. Get them sponsors.
The sponsors change every year.
Right.
Every 15 minutes, they got a different sponsor. But they beat Florida State. So what do you see in the AAC conference this year?
U of H is the cream of the crop of the West. The only one that's even going to give them any kind of a thing, I agree with Jerry on that, is Navy. I don't think that there's anybody that's going to get close in the West.
Wow.
U of H is going to run away with it.
He's always so definitive. There's always I could see he's just like Georgia, U of H, end of discussion. All right, so what do you think about the AAC conference?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say U of H, cream of the crop. I'm giving a little bit more love to Memphis than anybody has so far. And then, believe it or not, South Florida, they did something that they should have been doing all along. They focused on recruiting in their own state. Every other team in the country tries to come to their state and recruit. South Florida did that, so I see them winning the East. But U of H, by far the best team in the conference.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you and Jerry down there. Navy, of course. First of all, like you said, that Navy discipline. Those guys are never that big because obviously you can't be that big and be in the military. They're never that big, but they're always fast and that darn triple option.
Yep.
that triple option is something to stop. They run a very fast offense, and it's very, very tough to defend. Memphis, I agree with you. I agree. Now, they lost Paxton Lynch, but I still and they lost their starting running back too. So, but I still think that they are a team to be reckoned with. They gave U of H hell last year. We were at that game. They gave them hell. Jolivet, it feels weird you not being right next to me, man. You know, he's normally right here. But
I'll move.
No, you got. So, what do you think about the AAC conference?
Well, there's nothing else to really say besides U of H. Go Cougars. I mean, and the only thing that's going to define U of H season is the very first game of the year when they play Oklahoma.
Great.
Yeah, and that's true.
If they can win that game, they would run the table the rest of the way. In my thoughts. That's just me. You know?
Yep.
Because the only thing about it, they lost the shutdown corner last year. Replacing the cornerback, that's a heck of a deal to do in college football because everything is all about technique, timing. Has the new guy gotten the timing down? Can he read?
Yeah.
Can he play zone? Can he play off man? Which one is he? They're going to figure that out real
Right.
quick. Is he going to be a target for them? We know that last year the defensive end on the right-hand side, you know, that's the one that got crashed down a lot,
Yeah.
and they ran to that side the most on the offensive left. So a couple problems to fix. Offensively and defensively for U of H, but the mindset that they have from Tom Herman, the coach himself, carries throughout the whole team. Now, like I said, if they beat Oklahoma, rather, they run the table.
Right. And I was speaking of Jackson. He got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, and he tore his knee up, and it's done for this. I was so disappointed to see that, man, and he's going to miss the season. But, you know, you're always in our prayers, brother. Now, that's a perfect segue because we're going to go to the Kickoff Classic. Okay, we're going to transition right into that. Oklahoma and U of H. I tend to agree with that. If they can beat Oklahoma, who was in the Final Four last year, if they can beat them, that's going to do wonders for their psyche and for their confidence, which not like they need more of that with Coach Herman because he's a spark plug. Jerry,
Yes.
talk to me about that game, Kickoff Classic.
Quarterback situations are resolved. U of H's offensive line, hopefully, now they've got experience. Because when we got, let me reference this to the Peach Bowl. Got there, people were asking questions, you know, like, about the team and all. The one thing that nobody recognized or realized until that point, until the bowl game, the U of H was starting almost 6 walk-ons on that squad. And we're talking about guys that they put in an open application in the paper, school paper. And guys came in off campus that were just going to class, stepped out, made the squad, and now those guys have pretty much earned a position and earned a scholarship that they didn't have. Pretty much given up on their dreams and all of playing college football. It was about getting school, getting out into the world. Now those guys have gotten a year worth of experience starting. Went to a bowl game and won. Now, all you have to do now is just take care of your business out on the football field. They did that in spring. Fall drills are going well. As far as anybody has mentioned, everything's okay, no majors or whatever. U of H's offensive line will be the difference in that game.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't their entire linebacking core freshmen last year?
Yes. And that's what happens. Well, when you got guys like upperclassmen like Jackson, you know, on that back end, you can line it, and you got pressure up front on the 4. That middle bunch
Makes your job easy.
If you can just contain, keep everything in front of you, and don't let them get wide and get spread it out, you can get some things done.
And you have some good guys in the middle to take up blockers and keep them off of you. So, talk to me, AJ, about the Kickoff Classic, U of H and OU.
I'd much rather play OU in game 1 than the last game of the year, you know, when they needed to possibly get it in the playoffs. I think if there's one coach who can prepare a team for one big game, it's Tom Herman. I mean, he did it at Ohio State, and I'm sorry.
You can say it, I just can't.
I'm sorry, he did it at the Ohio State.
Jokes.
But, you know, again, he basically did it all last year. He prepared them for every big game like it was the game. So I see U of H doing something special in that game. I'm not being a homer. I see them doing something special in that game.
And you know, speaking of doing something special, Herman is he's a different kind of guy, man. I love what he did when they came into camp this year. He didn't give them U of H gear. He gave them plain red T-shirts with question marks on them. That, in other words, I don't know who you are. You don't have a job. Matter of fact, you're not even on the team yet. And he strictly forbid the guys from even referencing the Peach Bowl from last year. They're not even allowed to talk about it. Mr. Kelly, you spend a lot of time with U of H. Talk to me about Coach Herman and also talk to me about the Kickoff Classic.
Kickoff Classic, I think it's a situation where U of H has got everything to win. Oklahoma has everything to lose. U of H goes in there and upsets them because they are the underdog. They're ranked lower. That's going to do tremendous boost for the program, for the players, and also talking about the big elephant in the room, moving to the Big 12.
Yep.
They want to move to the Big 12. Everybody wants them to. Personally, I've still got some questions on if it would be a good move for them or not. Obviously, financially, it would be great. But I've still got to see some conditioning, and actually to see if the success Tom Herman had last year carries over to this season. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I remember the last year that Tom Levine at U of H, and they lost that one game. And I still question why they lost that game.
Was it Southern Miss?
Yes.
Yeah, Southern Miss game, okay.
And you don't know. I think U of H can pull it out, but I think if they even play them close, even if they lose, it's going to be a big push for the team.
Right. Well, I think that's what this game is about. I mean, do you think it's an accident that they're talking about U of H moving to the Big 12 and to open their season after winning a big bowl game, they're playing the Big 12 champion? Do you think that's an accident? And it's another thing that we have to put into context. It's a home game for U of H. It's a home game for U of H. So, Jolivet, what you think about it?
Well, of course, we know that they want to go to the Big 12. Well, all of us want them to. Everyone wants them to, more money. But the stadium is built to be added on to for that specific reason. OU plays a very methodical, old-school football. Bob Stoops, defense, run the ball. Baker Mayfield is no slouch. I mean, you have to do more than just hit him to get him out of the game and get him off his game, because last year in Tennessee, they were down. They came back and they won that game. That hurt my heart. But it lets you know that, hey, look, they are not going to give up. They're not going to lay down easy. U of H is going to have a task on their hands in order to beat them, in my eyes.
Okay.
Because, hey, look, you have these guys. Bob Stoops is not going to allow them to come in, hey, look, we're Big 12, they're AAC.
No.
We should just beat them and just go on home and go back up to Norman and just, have a field day. That's not going to happen.
No.
They're going to have to come bring 2 chin straps, because U of H is going to bring what they have, and my God, OU better come with it as well.
Right. And they don't want to make that mistake because Florida State had just won a national championship, 2 seasons ago? And you see now some people tried to hate, they lost their starting quarterback. I watched that game. I'm sure we all watched that game.
Well, I was there, so
I didn't think it mattered. I thought U of H was clearly the better team on the field that day.
2 things happened in that game early on. One, U of H pushed back. Florida State wasn't accustomed to getting pushed.
That's right.
They had enough time and all during the off period to make adjustments. But in that game, at halftime, only U of H made the adjustment.
Right.
Starting quarterbacks goes down. Now you lose. The second quarterback comes in. Now you're down to the third, and your starter has to come back to finish the game, which said a lot about depth and what was getting pressure up front, and guys weren't able to see. And we all know most college quarterbacks aren't capable of making reads that early in their career.
Right.
Especially when they're freshmen, because they're still adjusting from just the speed.
Yep. Now, let's address, like you said, the elephant in the room was the Big 12, but let's adjust another elephant in the room. U of H starts off ranked, I think, what are they, number 8?
No, it's 13.
13 and 1. I've got 15.
13 and 1, 15 and another.
Right.
Okay. So that's still fairly high.
Yeah.
Anybody in the top 15, I think, has a shot at making it to the Final Four, realistically speaking. Really the top 10, but I kind of stretch it to the 15 depending on the school. Can U of H, from the AAC conference, will the voters give them the Final Four if let's say they beat Oklahoma, they go undefeated, and they win the AAC again? Will the voters put them in the Final Four, even though they're in the AAC conference? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think it's going to basically come down to, and I know it's not supposed to matter as much anymore, but strength of schedule. If you've got an Oklahoma, for instance, that's, their worst loss is U of H, and they run, the Big 12. Both of those teams are, U of H is 12-0, Oklahoma's 11-1. I would take Oklahoma.
still get in,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would take Oklahoma. So I just don't think they have enough in the AAC to overcome challenges like that.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. It's just, and it's not fair. It's not
No,
fair,
I agree.
but that's
It's not
just the
fair.
nature of the beast. Jalved, what you think?
I mean, we know football, so we're going to look at, hey, look, we want to see the best team in there, no matter what the money or no matter what the fans want to see. Fans, they're going to want to see the big teams. They're going to want to see the Oklahomas. They're going to want to see the king of the SEC. They're going to want to see the AAC conference. Those are the teams, or even possibly a Pac-12 team if they run the table.
They have to run the
They
table.
have to run the table.
Because it's a weak
Pac-12.
conference to begin
And that's
with.
one of the top 5 conferences. They have to run the table themselves because of the power of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Big 12 and the SEC, and the Big 10.
Yeah.
So those teams are going to get more of the voters' push because they're going to be like, hey, look, U of H may have played one game worthy of getting them to the bowl game, but when you have the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Big 10, they play those games every single week because they beat up on each other every single week to get to where they are.
Yeah, and that's the thing about college football. There's no preseason. Like NFL, we all watch our NFL teams and we can say, okay, well, they look good here. They need to work on this or they got this. College, right off the rip. And U of H, they're jumping head first into the fire to play a team that was in the Final Four. You have nothing to judge by. You've seen nothing. But, Mr. Kelly, real quickly, what do you think about that? You think they'll put them in the Final Four if they earn it?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't think they'll vote for it. They're going to look at strength of schedule. They're going to look at the. I mean, come on. Everybody looks at the AAC as a second-class conference, and I don't believe that. But the people the powers that be do, and I don't see them doing that. I think before U of H is ever going to have a shot at getting into the championship games, or they've got to show consistency over a long period of years, and beat a lot of people that are ranked and in those power conferences.
They've got a great point. They would have to load their non-conference schedule in order to, absolutely load it and win out to get to the championship. And you know what? Everybody talks about, well, the playoff system is better than the BCS. They look at the same metrics. The BCS, the new system is basically the BCS except it's people except a computer. That's really the only difference. But so we all agree that U of H is going to take the AAC conference. But we do have to take another break, folks. So stay with us and we'll be right back.